You know that feeling, right? You pour your heart into a lesson, it's engaging, the kids seem to get it, and then just a week later, poof, it's like it never happened. So, how do we actually make learning stick? Well, today we're going to dive into some brain friendly teaching strategies using a little neuroscience to make our lessons truly unforgettable.
I mean, does this sound familiar or what? You've had a fantastic class, you see the light bulbs going on over their heads, but fast forward a few days and you're met with blank stares. It's so frustrating. But look, you're not alone. This is a story almost every single teacher knows by heart.
But here's the really good news. This isn't on you. It's not a failure in your teaching. It all comes down to how the human brain is actually wired. See, the brain isn't really designed to just memorize a list of facts. It's designed to create meaning. And once we get that, we can start teaching with the brain instead of fighting against it. Okay, so to figure this all out, we first have to understand the problem. Let's play detective for a minute and investigate exactly why these amazing lessons sometimes seem to just vanish into thin air. All right, let's meet our main suspect, something called working memory. The easiest way to think about it is like the brain's own little mental whiteboard. It's where all the active thinking happens, where we juggle new information. But, and this is the critical part, that whiteboard is tiny, and it gets erased super easily. So just how tiny are we talking? Well, most research shows that the average person can only hold about 4 to 7 new things on that whiteboard at any one time. That's it, just 4 to 7. Now, think about everything you try to pack into a single lesson. That number suddenly feels shockingly small, doesn't it? And you can guess what happens when that little whiteboard is full, right? Any new piece of information you try to add just shoves something else right off the board. This is what scientists call cognitive overload, and it's the number one reason why a long, dense lecture, no matter how brilliant it is, just doesn't work. The brain literally can't keep up. So knowing this, how do we actually get around that limitation? It all starts with our very first rule. We have to capture their attention. You can think of attention as the bouncer at the nightclub door of the brain. If your information doesn't get past that gatekeeper, it's not even getting a chance to get on the whiteboard. This is such a huge mindset shift. Our goal isn't to force students to pay attention because they're supposed to. We're not teaching for compliance. We want to make the lesson so interesting, so engaging that their brains can't help but lock in. It's all about tapping into their natural, built-in curiosity. So how do we actually do that? Well, you can start with a great hook, a little mystery, a surprising image, a compelling story. The brain absolutely loves anything new. Then, you got to keep it fresh. Switch up what you're doing every 10 or 15 minutes. And please, don't forget how powerful movement and relevance are. Just having them stand up to share or connecting a topic to their favorite video game can completely reset their focus. Okay, great. So we've gotten past the bouncer. We have their attention. Now what? How do we move that information off of that fragile little whiteboard and into the brain's long-term storage? Well, that brings us to rule number 2. We have to intentionally build memory. And listen, here is the secret weapon: emotion. It's everything. Whenever we feel something, surprise, excitement, humor, even the pride that comes from a tough problem, our brain gets a powerful signal. It's like a little part of the brain flags that memory and shouts, "Hey, this is important. Save this one." Emotion is, quite literally, the brain's save button. And you can just see the difference it makes. Rote learning is so mechanical, so forgettable. But when we link learning to an emotion, it becomes meaningful. It becomes lasting. This is exactly why telling stories is one of the most powerful teaching tools we have. Stories wrap facts up in an emotional context that's so much easier to remember. The whole game here is to make it as easy as possible for the brain to file this stuff away. So first, you chunk it. Break those huge ideas into small, manageable pieces. Second, visualize it. Our brains process images way faster than text. And third, and this is so often overlooked, you have to pause. Just give them a quiet moment to think, to process, to summarize. That pause is when the real work of memory making happens. And that brings us to our final rule. And honestly, this might be the most fundamental one of all, because none of the other stuff works if this isn't in place. We have to create a safe learning environment. I just love this quote. A calm classroom is a high-functioning brain lab. It just perfectly sums it up, doesn't it? Having the right environment isn't just some fluffy, nice-to-have idea. It is a biological requirement for learning to happen. And here's the science behind it. When a student feels stressed or anxious or even just afraid of looking dumb, their brain's threat detection system kicks into high gear. This fight or flight response literally pulls energy and resources away from the parts of the brain that handle complex thinking and memory. You just can't learn when you feel unsafe, period. So what does this brain lab look like in practice? Well, we celebrate the effort, the struggle, the process, not just getting the right answer. We can build in little daily rituals of connection. We can make our classrooms predictable and calm with consistent routines. And we can use the power of the social brain by having students learn from each other in small, low-stakes groups. All of these things send a clear signal to the brain that says, you're safe here. It's okay to try. It's even okay to mess up. So if we boil this entire thing down, it really comes to this simple, beautiful idea. To get a student's attention, you need emotion. To build their memory, you need to create meaning. And for any of that to even have a chance of happening, they have to feel safe. Now look, this isn't about throwing out everything you do and starting over from scratch. Not at all. It's about making small, smart, intentional shifts. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Based on everything we just talked about, what's one small, brain-friendly change you could try in your classroom tomorrow?